Your history lessons can provide a wonderful opportunity for discussions with your high school students. Discussions that can shape how they think and who they are becoming. But not just any book will encourage those kinds of discussions. Textbooks rarely do that. Today, I'm going to share some of our favorite titles that will prompt wonderful discussions as your students learn about modern times. Welcome to the Simply Charlotte Mason podcast. I'm Sonia Schaefer. Especially in the high school years, our focus needs to be on ideas. A large part of our role as educators is to enter into discussions with our students about which ideas stood out to them, whether they accept or reject those ideas, and why. In other words, we demonstrate how life principles enter into the discussion. In high school lessons more than ever. The books that I'm sharing today will present a wide range of ideas and prompt those kinds of discussions with your teens. Plus, your students will get high school credit for reading, narrating, and discussing these books. Check the description for a link to learn more about that. Let's take a look at the books. The American Story, Conversations with Master Historians by David M. Rubenstein. There are some fabulous biographies written about people in early modern and modern American history. I've read and enjoyed several of them, written by master historians and excellent storytellers. If we could, we would assign all of them to your high school students to enjoy as well. These authors have spent decades getting to know the people about whom they write, and their enthusiasm for those people shines through as they speak and write about them. The only problem is that each biography is about 600 pages long, and we refuse to overload your students' school schedule with that much history reading. What we can do, however, is introduce those master historians and excellent storytellers to your students and give them a taste of these fascinating historical narratives. That's what the American Story provides. David Rubenstein interviewed each master historian. And in these interviews, your students will get two important things. Number one, a peek into the humanity and decisions of key people in American history. And number two, a taste of the passion, scholarship, and personal relation that each author brings to his or her work. It's our hope that reading these interviews will encourage your high school students to keep reading and learning. Your students will spread this book over 2 years in our history curriculum, reading the first part in the early modern study and the rest in their study of modern times. American Voices, edited by Ray Notgrass, is another book that starts in early modern studies and then continues through modern times. It's a collection of original sources, documents, speeches, essays, hymns, poems, and short stories from American history. By coupling this collection with the overview in the America, Our Stories series, your students will be able to access the first-hand accounts and the actual words of the people and events they read about. So, as they learn about the Civil War, they can read the Emancipation Proclamation. And as your students learn about the Statue of Liberty, they can read the New Colossus poem by Emma Lazarus in this collection. And as they focus on various presidents and their leadership over the years, they can read inaugural addresses, messages to Congress, farewell addresses, and other speeches by Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, Wilson, Coolidge, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, and more. You'll also find Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, as well as excerpts from landmark decisions by the U.S. Supreme Court. All in all, this is a helpful and powerful collection. And the third book that's used in both early modern and modern times studies is The American Spirit, Who We Are and What We Stand For, by David McCullough. This is a book of essays and speeches that the author has given over many years and in different situations. Each one is meticulously researched and includes a fascinating story from American history that forms the foundation for a thought-provoking idea. As McCullough says in the introduction, history, I like to think, is a larger way of looking at life. It is a source of strength, of inspiration. It is about who we are and what we stand for, and is essential to our understanding of what our own role should be in our time. History, as can't be said too often, is human. It is about people, and they speak to us across the years. The narration guidebook for high school students that's part of our curriculum includes thoughtful narration prompts to encourage your teens to reflect on what they read, and then to take it one step further and try to express their thoughts in writing. The guidebook also schedules all of the books that I'll be mentioning, giving your students each lesson's reading assignments and custom narration prompts, so you don't have to worry about any of that planning. I'll leave a link in the description. Up from Slavery by Booker T. Washington. Another genre of book that can be powerful is the autobiography, and Up from Slavery is very powerful. It traces Booker T. Washington's rise from slavery to freedom during the Civil War, his struggles to get an education, and his work to help other blacks become independent and learn useful, marketable skills after the Emancipation Proclamation. The narrative covers more than 40 years of his life and work, and it contains some life-shaping ideas for your high school students. We also have The Wright Brothers by David McCullough. You'll recall that I mentioned that many of the great biographies by those master historians were 600 pages long. Well, this one's only 250 pages, so we included it in your students' reading list for modern times. If you want your high schoolers to grasp the process that the Wright brothers went through, from the seeds of an idea to the idea itself, to refining and fine-tuning that idea, to trying it and failing, and tweaking and trying again, all without knowing whether they would succeed in flight, and all intertwined with personal family situations and daily decisions, well, this is the book to do it. Your students will get to know the wider scope of history from the mid-1800s to the mid-1900s by reading how those years affected the Wright family in a variety of ways. McCullough's expert storytelling highlights these brothers' exceptional abilities and unyielding determination, and it also reveals how their sister Catherine played a far more important role than has been generally understood. An excellent biography by a master historian. Animal Farm by George Orwell. Now, this is perhaps an unusual title to include in a history lineup, but it's there for a good reason. This book is a satire that takes place on Mr. Jones's farm. The animals stage a revolution and take over the farm. Their ideas for establishing a new government are exemplified in the great commandment, all animals are equal. But over time, the leadership devolves, and the revolution begins to go wrong, even as those in authority provide excellent excuses for why they're changing the rules and eventually altering the great commandment itself. And those changes touch the reader's hearts, for they affect certain favorite animals on the farm. It's a powerful story, yet the author never intrudes, never points a moral. The story simply provides an excellent invitation to discuss political powers, the abuses of that power, and what we've noticed in the affairs of the world. This is not a book just to be read and set aside. It's an excellent story to be discussed with your student. Fire Road, the Napalm Girl's Journey Through the Horrors of War to Faith, Forgiveness, and Peace by Kim Phuc Phan Thai. The Vietnam War is encapsulated in an iconic photograph that a news journalist unexpectedly captured. It centers around a little girl, terrified, running for her life, as the clothes on her back are burned off from the napalm bombs that were dropped on her village. This is the story of that little girl, now a woman, and how her tragedy was transformed into an unshakable faith in Jesus. Your students will learn about Kim's life before the war, about the war as she experienced it as a little girl, and how communist Vietnam after the war sought to use her pain for propaganda. They will read about her daring escape, how she came to faith in Christ, and how God has comforted her in her pain and ultimately used it for His glory and given her peace. Though there are difficult scenes described, this book is what it says, a memoir of hope. I Am Malala, How One Girl Stood Up for Education and Changed the World, Young Readers Edition by Malala Yousafzai with Patricia McCormick. Through Malala's story, your students will discover life in a region of Pakistan, both before and after the Taliban took control and ruled by terrorism. Though girls were forbidden from going to school, Malala fought for her right to be educated. And one day, on her way home from school, she was shot, point blank. No one expected her to survive. This is her story, from a 10-year-old girl to an international symbol of peaceful protest. Now, please note, while we usually recommend original versions of books, in this case, we're recommending the Young Readers edition of I Am Malala because it contains fewer religious and political comments. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of great books here that can stir a lot of important discussions with your high school students. Their history lessons will be longer than your younger students, but encourage your high schoolers to take these books in short, focused chunks and to spread the readings out between other subjects throughout the day. In other words, to take time to digest what was read, to ponder the ideas in it, to select which ideas they agree with, and to allow those ideas to filter down into their hearts. For history has a way of shaping the future, our futures, if we allow it to. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.